The restaurant was silent as everyone stared. Mia, the young waitress, stood trembling but defiant, shielding NBA superstar Marcus Blake from her furious manager. "I won't let you treat him like that," she said, her voice steady despite the storm raging inside her. Her manager's face turned beet red as he hissed, "You're done here, Mia. Pack your things and leave." Mia's heart sank, but she didn't back down. Marcus, seated at the table, looked at her with surprise and gratitude. The other customers whispered and gawked, some recording the confrontation on their phones. As Mia turned to leave, Marcus stood up and said something that made the entire restaurant gasp. What did he say? And what would happen next? Mia had just clocked in for her evening shift at Bella's Diner, a popular restaurant in a small city. She'd worked there for nearly 2 years, juggling the job with her college classes. The pay wasn't great, but she loved chatting with the regulars and serving meals with a smile. That evening, whispers filled the diner as a tall man in a hoodie and sneakers entered and sat in a corner booth. Mia didn't recognize him at first, but the other staff did. "Is that Marcus Blake?" one of the cooks whispered. Mia frowned. "The basketball player? Yes. He's from here, isn't he?" Another waitress said. Marcus Blake was a big deal. He had grown up in this very city and risen to NBA stardom. But what made him special was his commitment to giving back. Every year, he donated thousands to local schools, funded community programs, and built basketball courts for underprivileged kids. Mia smiled, excited to serve someone who had done so much for their community. She grabbed her notepad and approached his table. "Good evening, sir. Welcome to Bella's. Can I get you something to drink?" Marcus looked up and smiled warmly. "Just water for now, thanks." Mia noticed how humble he seemed. Nothing like the Flaz, high athletes she'd seen on TV. As she returned with his water, she noticed her manager, Mr. Dawson, watching Marcus closely. Mr. Dawson was known for being strict and at times downright rude. He rarely smiled and had a reputation for treating certain customers differently. When Mia passed by him, he muttered, "Keep an eye on that one." Mia's stomach tightened. She knew what he meant. Marcus ordered a simple meal and quietly ate while reading something on his phone. But as he was finishing, Mr. Dawson marched over to his table. "You're taking too long," Mr. Dawson snapped. "We need this table for paying customers." Marcus looked up, confused. "I am a paying customer. Is there a problem?" Mr. Dawson's tone grew harsher. "You think you can just sit here because you're famous? You're not special here." Mia froze, a tray of drinks in her hands. The entire diner went quiet. Marcus remained calm. "I don't want any trouble. I'll leave after I finish." But Mr. Dawson wouldn't let it go. "People like you always think you own the place. Not here." Mia couldn't believe what she was hearing. She set the tray down and hurried to the table. "Mr. Dawson, he's not doing anything wrong," she said, her voice shaking. Mr. Dawson glared at her. "Stay out of this, Mia." "No, I won't," she replied, louder this time. "You're being unfair." The customers watched, some recording the scene on their phones. Marcus stood up, towering over Mr. Dawson but keeping his composure. "I appreciate you standing up for me," he told Mia, "but I don't want you to get in trouble." Mia shook her head. "This isn't right. You don't deserve this." Mr. Dawson exploded. "That's it. You're fired, Mia. Get out." Mia felt tears prick her eyes as she grabbed her apron and walked toward the exit. Her co-workers looked away, too scared to speak up. But as she reached the door, Marcus' voice boomed across the diner. "Wait," he said. Everyone stopped. Marcus pulled out his phone and said, "You shouldn't have to pay for standing up for what's right." Then he did something no one expected. He called his lawyer. "I want to make sure Mia is taken care of," he said into the phone, glancing at her with a reassuring smile. Mia froze, confused. What did he mean by taken care of? Mia had always been someone who stood up for others, even when it cost her. Growing up in a diverse neighborhood, she'd seen her share of unfairness. Her parents had taught her to treat everyone with kindness and respect, no matter who they were. When she got the job at Bella's, she had high hopes, but it didn't take long to notice Mr. Dawson's behavior. He treated certain customers better than others, and Mia hated it. Marcus Blake, on the other hand, had grown up facing challenges. Despite his success, he never forgot where he came from. That's why he made it a point to visit his hometown and support the community. When he walked into Bella's that evening, he didn't expect trouble. but he wasn't surprised when it came. The next day, videos of the incident went viral. People from all over the world praised Mia for her courage and called out Mr. Dawson's behavior. Meanwhile, Marcus invited Mia to lunch at a fancy restaurant. There, he offered her a job managing a community center he was funding. "You believed in what's right," he said. "I need someone like you on my team." Mia was stunned. She went from being a waitress to running a community center in less than 24 hours. And as for Mr. Dawson, Bella's diner faced backlash and eventually had to shut down. Mia couldn't believe how quickly her life had changed. From being a waitress struggling to make ends meet, she was now the manager of Marcus Blake's newly built community center, the Rise Foundation. The center provided after-school programs, sports facilities, and mentoring opportunities for kids in her hometown. At first, Mia felt overwhelmed by the responsibility. She didn't have any management experience, and she worried she might let Marcus down. But Marcus reassured her during one of their first meetings. "Don't forget," he said with a smile. "You stood up for me when no one else did. That takes courage and heart. If you lead this center with the same spirit, you'll do just fine." Marcus' words gave Mia confidence. She threw herself into the job, learning quickly and forming connections with the kids and families who came to the center. As news of the diner incident continued to spread, Bella's diner faced serious backlash. Videos of Mr. Dawson's behavior had gone viral, and people began leaving scathing reviews online. Many customers boycotted the diner, calling for Mr. Dawson to step down. Local reporters picked up the story, interviewing Mia about what had happened. Although she tried to focus on her new job and avoid dwelling on the past, she couldn't help but feel vindicated when she heard that Bella's diner was losing business. One day, Mia received a call from an old co-worker. "You won't believe it," the co-worker said. "Mr. Dawson is stepping down and the diner's closing next month." Mia was surprised. She hadn't expected karma to work so swiftly, but she didn't celebrate. Instead, she focused on her work at the community center, determined to make a positive impact. About a month after the center opened, Mia was surprised to see a familiar face walk through the doors. Mr. Dawson. He looked tired and older than she remembered, his confident demeanor replaced with hesitation. "Mia," he said quietly, "can I talk to you for a moment?" Mia nodded, though she couldn't hide her shock. They stepped into her office, where Mr. Dawson sat nervously across from her. "I came to apologize," he began, his voice shaky. "What I did at the diner was wrong. I let my own prejudices cloud my judgment, and I took it out on someone who didn't deserve it. And you stood up for him. That was brave." Mia listened silently, her heart conflicted. "I lost everything after what happened," Mr. Dawson continued. "The diner, my reputation. But seeing you here, running this place, I can see I was wrong about you too. You're making a difference. I just wanted you to know I'm sorry." Mia took a deep breath, feeling a mix of emotions. "Thank you for apologizing," she said finally. "It doesn't erase what happened, but it's a step forward. I hope you can learn from this and do better in the future." As the months went by, the Rise Foundation flourished. Kids flocked to the center, excited to have a safe place to learn, play, and grow. Marcus frequently visited, hosting basketball clinics and mentoring sessions. One evening, after a successful event, Marcus pulled Mia aside. "I have one more surprise for you," he said with a grin. "What now?" Mia asked, laughing. Marcus handed her an envelope. Inside was a full scholarship to finish her college degree. "I know you've been balancing work and school for years," Marcus said. "Now you don't have to choose. The world needs more people like you, Mia." Mia's eyes filled with tears. "I don't know how to thank you," she whispered. "Just keep doing what you're doing," Marcus replied. Years later, Mia graduated with honors and became a leader in the nonprofit world, expanding Marcus Foundation to other cities. She never forgot the night she stood up for what was right, even when it cost her everything. As for Marcus, he continued his philanthropy, always inspired by the courage of one young waitress who refused to back down. And in the city where it all began, the Rise Foundation became a beacon of hope, proving that standing up for justice can change lives not just for the people involved, but for entire communities.